Hello guys, Omni here. We're picking back up this week with Batwoman, and I want to go ahead and say that I don't know, with everything going on in the world, with CW halting their productions on a lot of their Arrowverse shows, not just the Arrowverse, but a lot of their shows in general that are going on at the moment. I don't know what the release schedule is going to look like. I don't know when the next video past this week, when they're going to come out. And this is for all the shows that I cover, you know, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Supergirl, Batwoman. Black Lightning has concluded. The season finale was last week, so you can check that out. But as far as what's coming in after this week, things are kind of up in the air. So if you want to subscribe, follow the channel, follow my socials, whatever it is, just to know when I post, if you're interested at all, make sure to do that. Ring the bell, all that dumb stuff that YouTube makes you do to get notified about anything these days. But aside from that, things are in the world are getting pretty serious, and you should be taking it seriously. I know everybody's tired of being talked to about this thing. Just take care of yourself and think about others that might not be able to make it through this thing if they happen to get sick. That's all I gotta say. Take responsibility, take care of yourselves. I want you all to be safe, and we're gonna go ahead and talk about the episode. So if you haven't seen last night's episode, be sure to tune out and come back once you have, because holy crap, it was pretty dang good. So I feel like, you know, Batwoman isn't necessarily the strongest show the CW has going right now. I still feel like that is very much so The Flash currently. That's my personal opinion, but I think what this show does a lot better than some of the others is balancing the A and B plots. And this episode specifically is all A plot. That's one thing I can say about this one versus some of the other shows. Post-Crisis, we haven't had an episode that was just pure the primary plot of the season. Not that I can immediately recollect at the moment. But this episode, 100% just about the Canes and Cartwright, Mouse, all of them. And I love what they did here. We obviously knew there were some gaps in, you know, Alice's story, from where she escaped, how she dealt with the family and all of that. And we learn at the end of the last episode, after Alice obtained Cartwright, that she had delivered him to the bat signal at the beginning of this episode and left him bound and gagged under the signal as she turned it on to signal Batwoman to come hither, and left her a little present. It, of course, was Cartwright, a famed surgeon, Mouse's father, with a message stuffed in his mouth that says, "Ask about Mommy Dearest." Kate takes him bound back to her bar, and she calls Jacob. She calls her father in to talk about all of this as father and daughter about him. They got him bound there. She tries to explain the situation. She explains to Jacob that the person in the morgue is not actually Alice. She doesn't really explain the multiverse side of it, what happened there, that she was a doppelganger, all that, but she was like, oh, with all these skin pirates, all this stuff, don't you think it's possible or whatever? She just kind of skates it by with that, which works with everything that's been going on. But he comes to, and they ask about Mommy Dearest, and we learn the story about the actual alpha in this family was not him, it was his mother, Mommy Dearest. And she is obsessed with order, with things being prim and proper. The first thing she comments on is, of course, Mouse's face being fixed, and then she meets Alice. You know, she takes note of her necklace. We get an opening scene to this episode too, which is a flashback of where where Beth and Kate got their gemstones and the matching one that their mother wore. And that is something that comes up later. In some frustration and anger, you know, we learn a little bit more about what's going on there, and that comes out, skipping ahead a little bit. Alice, in the meantime, got the information about where Mouse was. And as we know before, he was fear-toxined. And she arrives at the house, frees him, and they talk. And he ends up, it doesn't really operate in the way that I feel like the fear toxin is known to. He doesn't like actually freak out all that much. She talks him down fairly quick. But he is afraid of her and what she has done, what she's done to their family. He's very much twisted by whatever he saw while he was being gassed. And he attacks her, and he puts her in the chair, straps her down, and hooks it up to her, letting her re-experience her greatest fears, which was not growing up with Cartwright, but the portion of her life in which she was being tutored or mentored or taken care of, or her taking care of the mother, her grandmother, Mouse's grandmother, or whatever, taking care of Mommy Dearest, and how that person is truly the member of that family that ruined her. Forced her to cut her hair, physically abused her, burned her hands, made her serve her in all of these ways. And that unravels throughout the whole situation. We see little bits and pieces of it the more Alice is strapped to this chair taking in the fear toxin. You know, while trying to get information out of Cartwright when he comes to, you know, Jacob goes out and, you know, they're trying to get information out of him. He's kind of turning it into a game. And they don't immediately take his word for anything. And of course, he asks for some water. Kate finally gives in, reluctant at first, but gives him a glass of water. But he managed to get a arm free from his bindings, and he grabs the glass, shatters it, and slits his throat. He's like, "You're not getting the information now." But Kate calls up Mary as Batwoman with her filter and tries to get help, you know, advice on how to fix the wound, because they're investigating a license plate that they found for the van for the person that shot Beth. Kate is, however, able to stabilize the wound on Cartwright's neck with a staple gun, and he ends up being okay enough to validate some semblance of information, and she sends Jacob off to go find Alice to corroborate that, so that somebody is always watching him. And Jacob arrives just in time because Alice struggles out of the gas and finally breaks the chair and gets out, you know, after a hallucination of seeing Jacob and Kate as Batwoman show up and then abandon her there anyway. Both of them deciding that she's not worth saving, which is playing into her current fears, her modern day fears, is that they will finally abandon her. And she's really been making a lot of that happen. And I'm curious to see where that's all going to pan out from here. But the big kicker, the big thing we learn after she's rescued, because Jacob does show up. He shows up just in time to free her because Alice is about to just kill herself. She breaks a window and she starts to cut herself with a glass shard as Jacob shows up and judos it out of her hand and hits her with an adrenaline shot that, you know, adrenaline overrides the fear toxin. And, you know, he takes care of her. He asks her about what's going on. He presses further about Mommy Dearest, about what's going on with that. Why did he want us to know about that? And he's like, because you want to know the all truth. And she's like, maybe sometimes you don't need to know everything because you can't come back from that. And it's what she found out. What really snapped her and made her lose her entire sanity while she was with them was this discovery of one of the nights she went up to take care of Mommy Dearest. She was wearing some very familiar looking earrings. Wonder where those came from. It was the exact ones that her mother had. And she asked her for some creamer for her tea, and she went out, couldn't find it. She found this strange refrigerator in this shed that had a key lock on it. She manages to get this open, and she finds their mother's severed head frozen. You know, once Cartwright had perfected the ability to recreate and mold these faces to perfection, his plan was to give his own mother a younger, beautiful face. And that was why they kept her head. I don't remember if it went into it, and we see it. We see the severed head. I don't know if it went into it in the episode or not. Maybe I missed it. I don't know if she actually survived the crash and then he killed her and took her head, or if she still died in the crash and then he took her head anyway. I don't know what happened there. It's just messed up. And it was at that moment, that was when Alice snapped. Mommy Dearest had to use this breathing tank, this oxygen tank, where she was strapped up with the tubes in her nose and everything. And she comes up after this realization and confronts her, busts the cap off of her oxygen, picks it up, and lights it and creates this makeshift flamethrower and just torches her alive. And, you know, multiple times and up until this point, we've seen her flicker between what she looked like pre-burned and after burn. We didn't know what that was. We didn't know if she had her own kind of scarring, kind of like Mouse did, or what was up with her face, but we saw this horrid, flesh-ridden, rotten, burned face that would talk down to her every now and then, and it was pretty grim. It was CGI, and it was very obviously not great CGI, but it was still grotesque to look at. This show gets away with a lot of stuff like that, and I really appreciate it for that. But after learning all of that too, because that gets communicated to Kate what happened, and she loses it after having just, kind of resuscitated him, kept him from killing himself. She chokes him to the ground, loses control, and she kills him. She kills Cartwright. And there's this great little moment at the end too, where you're both now, when Alice finally comes back with Jacob and Jacob sees what Kate has done, Alice is like, well, congratulations, Daddy. Both of your daughters are now killers. I mean, the whole thing's messed up. And that's what I like about their story. This one, it doesn't really pull any punches. It's not always the best written, but it's the most interesting, the dynamic. And I gotta say, the weakest bits of this episode for me were Ruby Rose's acting. I think when she gets upset, she sounds like she's faking being upset. And I don't know if it's just her inexperience as an actress, but I don't know. When she's talking, it's fine. When she's casual, it's fine. When she's flirting, it's fine. When she has to be upset, emotional, I don't feel it. It's just something with her voice, I think. I'm not sure what exactly it is, but that's the only thing I can say. Everybody else in this is fantastic. Everybody is amazing performers across the board on this. And I just really enjoy this show. I don't know what's going to happen now. I don't know what's going to happen now that Jacob knows everything. I don't know what's going to happen now that they have Alice in custody with Kate. I don't know what's going to happen with the realization of who killed Beth. I don't know what's going to happen with them and the body. They make it seem like at the end of this episode that Alice, Jacob, and Kate were going to go bury Cartwright's body. Where's Mouse? I don't know. What's going to happen with the rest of the season? No idea. There's going to be a redemption arc for Alice at some point. There's going to be. It happens in the comic books. They might deviate away from that. I don't see her being a permanent villain for a while. I don't know how that's going to go. Eventually, I feel like we need to shift away from that, but it's very much a tight-knit personal story for this season, and I appreciate about it. There's a lot of other things that kind of come up in this. There's some little nuances, I think, throughout this episode that are ties into the characters' interactions and reactions very well. But yeah, I don't know. I know the episode was called Off With Her Head. And at the entire time, I was like, whose head is this going to be off with? And I just didn't even think about the mom. I know we got a flash over at the beginning, but I wasn't sure if that was just setting up them. Really just about them and the gemstone that they got that connected them. I didn't really expect the mother to come back up for it. For a moment, I thought maybe the mother was actually brainwashed and turned into Mommy Dearest, but no, it was going to be the other way around. But yeah, I don't know. I like the episode. Yeah, that's my thoughts. What do you guys think of the episode? What do you think of this? All the revelations in this? Do you think there's obviously still got to be a little bit more of Alice's story that's missing? But I mean, Cartwright's dead now. Assumably dead. Mouse is out on the run, so I'm not sure how we're going to fill this back in unless she just starts to tell us herself. Anyway, let's talk about this episode in the comments after the video. We can carry on the conversations there. I want to know what you all thought, though. So if you like this video, support the channel by liking, commenting, and subscribing. I'll catch you guys whenever the next episode airs. You can follow me, subscribe, all that stuff. And yeah, keep an eye out. Other than that, just take care, be safe, everybody. And I really appreciate everybody that tunes into these. And I will catch you all in the next video. Take care, everybody.